Something's spoiled.
Blade Runner.
Danny's spoiled. Spoiled Blade Runner. Welcome back, folks. Here with Tony, Danny, I'm Scott. Going to talk about Blade Runner 2049, the latest film in the Blade Runner universe. This one directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it stars Ryan Gosling. Takes place 30 years after the events of the original Blade Runner film directed by Ridley Scott back in 1982. And there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, we're going to give you a warning because there's definitely a lot to discuss in spoiler territory. But first, let's just talk about the film. This, to me, was a masterpiece. It was one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. It definitely pays homage to the universe in which it's based. Denis Villeneuve understood the Blade Runner universe intimately, and he tells a story that very much, in every way, feels like Blade Runner. Just the performances themselves. I usually always say there's always some kind of a surprise. For me, this time, the surprise was Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is an actor who is known for underplaying, and as an actor, I like underplaying. I think it gives you more options, but as Officer K, it completely works, given the nature of the character, and also under Villeneuve's direction, he makes a great vehicle to tell the story with. The other performances I really liked. Jared Leto actually didn't bother me. He actually brought something to Wallace that fit right in this universe. Ana de Armas, another standout as Joy. She's playing an AI. She brings the appropriate kind of life to that character. Cynthia Hoeks, who plays Love, she was deliciously intense and sinister.
So good at her. Wow.
And she was a lot of fun. I do want to mention Harrison Ford. To be honest, Harrison Ford pretty much plays Harrison Ford, a world-weary, broken-down old man living in seclusion. That is exactly what Deckard is by the time we catch up to him in the movie. So, once again, Ford delivers what you expect from him. He does actually have a few moments to show you why he's a screen veteran of nearly 50 years. But, guys, I got to tell you, I loved Blade Runner 2049. I loved everything about the production. It was beautiful, and the pacing, which would seem slow, was perfect for this movie.
Absolutely. I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. I just absolutely love this movie. This is the first time I've actually seen a movie that's supposed to be part of a universe from an older movie that actually felt like it was really part of it. This felt like it was the exact same LA with a 30-year difference, which was the intention. The vehicles, the technology, everything just felt like it was slightly evolved, but not enough to be a whole new franchise or anything like that. Just enough to actually say, here's how we'd improve things in 30 years. I normally don't like Ryan Gosling or Jared Leto. I thought they were good in this, actually. Jared Leto, I really do think somebody told him that David Bowie was original intent of the role. He has this really specific way that he speaks that I can picture David Bowie doing that actually kind of works.
Robin Wright, she coming from Wonder Woman, seeing that she went from being this Amazonian, and she had a really heavy accent too in that movie too. Mm-hmm. That role, and she's the one who trained Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Coming here into this film, it's like, it's a completely different person.
But that's Robin Wright.
The performances for me were amazing. Joy. That really, it's like the way they paint that in the story, and like where like she figuratively dies, you're oh god, your heart hurts because you've gotten so close to her and you've forgotten that she's an AI, and they remind you, but you keep forgetting because she's so devoted to Kay. And of course, Ryan Gosling definitely underplays his character, but it worked. Like, he's a replicant waking up. Like, you can tell from the beginning of the show, beginning of the movie, that he's there, but something else is happening in his head.
Credit to Villeneuve and Gosling for that moment when he finally has that explosion, thinking that he is actually the child from his own memories. That whole deadpan underplaying moment maneuvered you up to that point of explosion, and we experienced that with him.
Yeah, it was amazingly intense.
The visuals, somehow going from Blade Runner, the original film, where the visuals are beautiful and they're very dark noir, you have that same visual style come to this one, but it's so much grander, and it gives me like Thunderdome feels, where you have these very long shots of this bleak environment, but it's a bleak metropolitan environment, and it's so odd. But and the best part about it is that it wasn't dirty. It just looked bleak.
They literally just decided to go, everything's perfect in the original, let's just actually use that aesthetic and transfer it over here and continue the story. That's just a brilliant decision. That's actually something really surprised got past producers and studio executives and things like that.
Well, Villeneuve said that one of the best things that Ridley Scott did for him when he when he got tapped for this job is pretty much just stay out of his way. I can't imagine anybody else doing a better job, like, once again, including Scott himself.
I'm excited to see what he does next because I love his art style.
You should check out The Arrival. The Arrival is amazing.
Yes.
All you guys should check out The Arrival.
He leaves absolutely nothing to chance. I remember watching the movie and just one of the actual street scenes in L.A. and just how much is going on in the background that we're just meant to casually notice.
Well, if you don't see enough going on in the background, it does bother you. Like, wait, why is there this big, empty, non-active space here? So if all that's filled out, there's no negative space for you to look into, so you focus on what you're supposed to focus on.
But Villeneuve can actually get away with having people having sex in the background. And you know what? You're still like, oh, there are people having, but you're still focused on the story and where you're supposed to look. But I'm just like, I was just, oh, there's people having sex there. And then I turned back to where we're supposed to be looking.
He makes it normal.
Seeing this movie was like going to a gourmet restaurant and having the perfect meal.
Right.
You're full. Yes, there's other stuff on the menu, and there's certainly other things to try, but I'm not hungry anymore. I've seen as much of this universe as I want to see, and while you don't leave this movie feeling like you just watched an Avengers movie, you feel like you've watched a complete and total work of art.
Absolutely.
With a good story. It was well acted, well produced, and you're not left wanting for any more.
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
There was no holes. There was no. Why did that? There was none of that.
And there's still questions.
Yeah.
There's still questions.
That's my favorite part of this, actually. I really thought this whole movie was going to be, is Deckard a replicant? And it actually had that one line when he's like, is the dog real? And Deckard is like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's perfect. Because that's the one thing I just don't give a shit about.
I don't know. Ask him.
I want the world. I want that ambiguity there, and this movie keeps that ambiguity going from the original Blade Runner perfectly.
And it still continues to ask the question, what qualifies you as a person? The fact that the question is so fleeting, the fact that there's so much room confusion, as Joe realizes when he sees this big giant holographic ad for Joy, who calls him Joe. And that once again is echoed back at him like, well, for him, Joy was real. For the audience, Joy was real. And here is, another holographic Joy calling him Joe, reminding him that she was manufactured and she was designed to do what she did. Was she real or wasn't she real? That's so Philip K. Dick.
And this is where AI does get weird, because conditioning is conditioning, and at the point in which a being has the ability to be conditioned and develop loyalty and have different, she said, break my, she's like, take me with you, break my antenna. She's like planning, she's trying to protect him. At one point, is this just a thing doing what it's supposed to do, or a thing that's developed a passion for a person that it even has the notion to, you have to remove me from, she's like, you have to remove me because they can read my memories.
Yeah, she probably passed the Turing test pretty easily.
She's literally like, and so she's protecting him, and so it's kind of like, wow, she's like a real, she's waifu, for goodness sake. She's...
It becomes human when you can't tell the difference.
Right, and that's that's the whole movie. That's the whole Blade Runner universe.
That's the whole premise of Blade Runner.
What did you guys think about the music for the movie?
I loved it. I thought, for me, it wasn't so much that I loved it because it was like, oh, the music's great. It was that it blended into the background so well. And I don't mean to say that it wasn't noticeable, was that it matched the emotion and the tone of the film all the time. That there were times I actually had to listen to it because I was like, oh, they're really on point with how you're supposed to feel right now.
Well, my observation about the music, because once again, that was another big reservation I had going in, because Vangelis' score for the original Blade Runner was so on point.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so very much a part of the original Blade Runner universe that I thought that anyone else, it was going to be probably really different, or they were going to just try to basically copy what Vangelis did. I tell you what Benjamin Wallfisch and Hans Zimmer did, it sounded exactly like Vangelis composed that score, and it fit the movie perfectly.
Again, I'm obsessed with the Blade Runner soundtrack. I think it's just one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. To hear somebody else emulate it without copying it was fantastic. I think it goes back the same way we talk about the director of the movie too, where he actually, instead of copying it, he continued the universe in a sense. And the same thing goes with the music. Instead of copying it, they continued the themes and the instruments, the sounds, the soundscape, but slightly updated it. Again, like the original Blade Runner, the soundtrack is its own character. It completely conveys the emotion, the tone, and the feel of the whole movie. Just absolutely perfect way.
Gents, I got to give this one a 5. This was an epic journey.
Yeah, I give it an epic journey too. Between the acting, the fact they stayed so true to the art and the design of Blade Runner, even being a passive fan, and the way it was shot now, individually it's its own masterpiece. Appreciating the filming, not just the filming, but the choice of sets, the color palette. They gave you this very nice neutral color palette, but they managed to fit in these rich tones, these rich reds, and these rich oranges and everything here and there that brighten you up. I solid 5. Yeah,
it's a fucking masterpiece. There's no way around that. This movie defies all expectations. There's no reason why a movie made 35 years after the original is this good, outside of just picking the absolute perfect people behind the camera, some of the interesting, really good choices in front of the camera as well. Again, it's just perfect. I give it a 5. I have nothing I can possibly say negative about the movie whatsoever.
Well, there you have it. Have you seen Blade Runner 2049? What do you think? Did you love it as much as we did? Or did you think it was a long, boring waste of time? In which case, leave your comments below. Whether you loved it or hated it, we want to know what you think. And if you like what you see here today, please click the subscribe button and you can get spoiled. This is Scott, Tony, Danny, signing off. We will catch you guys next time.
Yay!
Yeah.